What's going on, everybody? It's back with the Real Bodybuilding Podcast. This is episode number 105, and I'm here with Nate Epler, the pro debut shocker of the IFBB. How are you, man? How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. So I think a lot of people were talking about Blessing's pro debut, and he kind of flew under the radar a little bit there and kind of shocked everybody. How does that feel?
It feels really good, man. I've been an underdog in the past as well, and kind of been that sleeper mentality, just kind of flying low. And it feels good because obviously this is the big leagues, and this is my debuts. I definitely knew what we were bringing, but you just never really know until you stack up next to them.
Yeah. How did it feel? Well, first, let me ask you this: how old are you?
I just turned 27 in February.
Okay. So, and this is your first, when did you turn pro? What show did you turn pro at?
I won the USA championships in the heavyweight class in 2019.
Okay. So you took a year. Was that last year? No, you took a year off, right? Yeah.
Just because COVID. Yeah. Just because of COVID. So,
okay.
Yeah. I had actually been prepping last year for the Indy Pro as well. Cause Indy, so it's my hometown. I'm from Indiana. And I had turned pro at the USA Championships in 2019. And then I had about 6 months of an off season. And then we started prepping at the end of 2019, like December-ish, for May of 2020 would have been the Indy Pro. And I had been prepping for about 5 months, and then the Indy got canceled completely. Okay. So, yeah.
So you got ready for this year, and how was your off season then after you decided you weren't going to compete last year? Did you have a good off season, or did you stay close to the same size? How much more muscle did you put on?
Yeah, I still had a lot of areas that I could improve upon. And actually, so after Indy got canceled, we still stayed in prep, and I was looking for Chicago, because I'm only about 3 hours away from Chicago.
Yeah.
So I was actually looking at Chicago Pro, and then it got moved all the way until like October.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had been prepping since December, and I was like, I'm not about to do 10 months of prepping when still we're unsure if it was even going to happen. So we shut it down, like probably beginning of the summer last year.
Okay.
And I had my most successful off season probably. I got up to about 245 morning weight.
Wow.
Yeah, and for me that's pretty big. The most I'd ever been before was in the 230s. So we definitely got a lot bigger. I definitely had I grew more in my back. My legs grew a little bit more for sure. Calves, just some of those minor areas that still were lagging for me. I really tried to bring those up.
What does it feel like? I remember I turned pro at 27, and I remember walking into my first pro show and feeling terrified. Walking into the Indy Pro with John Jewett there and some of the other big names. How did that feel for you? Like, how was that moment when you walked backstage and saw everybody, or walked into registration?
You know what is funny? It didn't feel, I was more nervous, I think, for USA's. Okay. And just so you know, like, I haven't been competing all that long. This was only my 6th show.
Okay.
I turned pro at my 5th show.
Yeah.
And so I think still, like, I had a lot more jitters 2 years ago when I was going for my pro card. This year, and when I got to the Indy Pro, I think I knew the work that I put in, so I wasn't really nervous in that regard. I just was more excited, more anxious. And it didn't really hit me until I was backstage, and then I was like, oh shit, okay.
Do you think
now we're here.
Do you think you were okay because nobody was talking about you? Because it's kind of unexpected, right?
Yeah. I think less pressure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So when you get backstage, what's the first thought? Like, explain to people what it feels like to walk backstage for the first time.
So Walking backstage for the first time for this pro debut, I think it was a little bit surreal, kind of that aha moment, like, wow. And this prep we had some difficulty with this prep. I had a back injury, a low back injury that I was dealing with, some nerve pain through my arm that I was dealing with. I had a lot of like nagging injuries and things that had come up this prep that made it a little bit difficult. And my coach is Matt Kuba, and he had pushed me a lot harder this prep than I've ever been pushed.
Yeah.
And so I think it was, when I got backstage, it was more of the feeling of not relief, but I could breathe, and I knew that I put in the work, and I was really happy. Really, there's no other word for it.
I know when you walk backstage, and I'm just trying to paint a picture for people watching, because there's a lot of people that watch this podcast that don't compete, right? So when you walk backstage, everybody's kind of dressed, you're dressed, you don't really know what anybody looks like yet. When everybody starts pumping up and they start, the sweatshirts start coming off, the pants start coming off, are you still like, you have the goods, or are you starting to get worried now? Is there any worry ever, or are you still like on top of it?
No, I get really tunnel vision. Okay. I used to wrestle, and so it's I kind of enter a different zone when I start getting there, and I really just try to focus on what I'm doing and not look around too much, because it can really mentally like kind of get to you looking around and being like, God, these dudes are huge. Especially because I'm tall for the class. I'm like 5'7.5", almost 5'8".
It is taller for that class.
So right, and so you got guys that are 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", and they just look like a brick house. It can be a little bit intimidating, but I kind of get in that tunnel vision mode, and I know how to execute. I just try to execute at a high level, and I know that we did put in the work, and we just got to go do the job now.
Is there somebody backstage with you, or were you back there by yourself?
No, I was back there by myself.
Can you explain? I know I don't want to, I'm going to get away from the backstage stuff for a second. I'm curious, because it's fascinating to me, especially because you said you wrestled. How do you get into that tunnel, that zone that you're talking about? Is it just head down, I'm just doing the stuff you're going through a checklist in your mind, or is there something else that puts you there?
It's like you get into this methodical, it's very methodical, just like with training is what I was saying. With training, I mean, you have a way of when you go into the gym and your pre-gym ritual, we all have that, you're making your drink, you're tying your shoes a certain way, you're putting your headphones on, you're listening to certain music going to the gym. It's that you're getting that rhythm and that method leading up to it. And I think it's kind of the same feeling backstage for me. Is I've been here before. I know how to execute at a high level, and I know, what to expect. I'm prepared. And so it's more so, let's just deliver now, and let's go through, okay, when do I need to get my glaze on? When do I need to touch up my tan? When do I need to start stripping down to pose and to, start pumping up? And that's the thing too. I really try not to pump up early at all. Because a lot of guys can really miss the mark if they start pumping up too early and then they fade. So I almost wait till like the last minute that I can, and I just get a quick pump and then go out.
Do you think, how many years did you wrestle for?
I wrestled for 8 years.
Do you think wrestling kind of got you used to the competition and used to that pressure and used to going out and being able to like execute? Do you think if it wasn't for wrestling, do you think you would have the feeling that you had back there, or would it all be a lot harder for you?
No, I think that wrestling really makes, I think wrestling really translates well to bodybuilding very well, because it's so individual, and it's spotlight on you. And there's a different level of pressure than with a team sport. So I think, and again, you have to be really disciplined as far as what you're eating and making weight and X, Y, and Z that goes into wrestling. It really correlates well with bodybuilding. So I definitely think that wrestling helped prepare me, for that level of pressure, and being that you're on stage. I mean, yeah, you're up against other guys, but it's you.
Yeah. Did you start bodybuilding for wrestling? Is that how you started weight training?
So yeah, I started lifting weights to get stronger for wrestling.
Yeah. And then you kind of just fell in love with it, or?
Yeah. Yeah, I love training, and my strength coach. So I used to be a really small guy, tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into high school and I weighed 100 pounds.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, I weighed 105 pounds.
Wow.
I was so small.
Crazy.
And then I graduated high school and I weighed 130, and that wasn't even 10 years ago. That was like 9 years ago.
Wow. So when you flipped the switch to bodybuilding, was it like full blast, like I'm going to eat all the meals and do all the training, or did you kind of ease into it, or was it automatic, like flip a switch?
There's a funny story I'll tell you real quick too. It's my strength coach. He was a really big advocate for training and like volume training, and kind of lifted like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And it correlated well to wrestling because we would get really muscular, but we would also get stronger.
Yeah.
And he kind of instilled those values in me. And I remember I lost my last match of my senior year by 1 point, and it was in the round to go to our state finals. And I was devastated. And my wrestling coach, my strength coach, walked up to me and he goes, "All right, you ready to get big now?"
That was
and
it.
I go, I said, "All right." And then I went and got a cheeseburger.
So the dieting and everything for bodybuilding is probably easy for you after doing weight cuts and shit for wrestling, no?
Yeah, it is. It's like, I've always been on a diet since like 8th grade. I've always been eating, regimented and doing cardio, and like it's just a lifestyle for me. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. I just love bodybuilding so much, and I have a deep love for the sport and for being competitive. And like right after high school, I just decided, okay, I want to get bigger.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know a lot about bodybuilding. I didn't know a lot of the big names in bodybuilding yet. I just knew I wanted to be big. I was so sick of being small, and I got picked on, and bullied when I was a kid and being small. And I went into college and I knew I wasn't going to wrestle. So I was like, well, I'm just going to eat. Now I ate like everything I could.
Can you get fat? Do you get fat, or are you the kind of guy who just can't get fat? Because you said you were a smaller guy.
I can eat quite a bit. I mean, it's like, for instance, like my off seasons, I do really well with carbs. But like the last couple of years, my off seasons, we were pushing 6,000 plus calories a day.
Wow.
Every day, carbs anywhere from 700 to 900 grams. So I have to eat in order to put on size for sure.
Okay. So going back to the show, you get on stage and you're in the first call out. How many guys were in the class? How many guys were competing that day?
15.
So you're first call out, right?
Yeah.
How does that feel, first call out at your first pro show?
I expected it, and I hope that's not bad to say.
No, it's the truth. It's good. Yeah.
I expected to be in the first call out. I knew that what I was bringing should be in the first call out. I really was very confident in that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like surprised, but then I knew, okay, now I got to battle though, because I knew John June was there. I knew Noel Adame, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but he had won the Indy Pro 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I knew there's big names there, and Tonio Burton, he's a buddy of mine who won.
Okay.
We both turned pro at the same show.
Okay.
And he was a light heavy and I was a heavy.
Okay.
And I knew that people were sleeping on him as well. And so I just knew that, okay, this is where I want to be. This is where we should be. But now I've got to turn it on. I've got to outpose. I have to hold tight. I've got to control breathing. And that's where, again, kind of get into that rhythm and that, methodical mindset of, we've been here, I've been practicing, now just execute.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see a rivalry coming for the long haul because you guys are friends and you kind of turn pro at the same time? And now he's first, you're second. I mean, is this something that's going to build over the years, you think?
I think we're going to battle. Battle over the years. I really do, because we both have, round, fresh muscle bellies. We both get in really good condition.
Mm-hmm.
We're both really similar height and weight. The ultimate goal for us, obviously, is to go to the open, but it's going to take a few years for us to put on the size. But I was thinking about that, and I was definitely thinking, like, this will be a fun one, because I know he and I are going to battle over the years for sure.
So you guys, both of your goals, I didn't know that. You got both your goals is to go to the open class.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at 5'7", you're going to have to be like 240 to compete in the open class.
Yeah.
That's your goal.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What was your weight on Saturday? What was your weight on Saturday? 210, 212?
I weighed in 211.
211.
And I usually hang about like 215, 214. And again, I stay lean, relatively lean for year round. I know it's going to take time to put on the size, and that's where my coach and I have talked about it, and he even agreed. Like, the end goal and the best that I'm going to look is probably going to be in that 230 to 240 mark. Yeah. But it's just about being patient, and not rushing it, especially because my waist is like 30 and a half or 31 inches. So we definitely don't want to start losing the proportions that we have, because that's what's really helping me right now, is the symmetry and the proportion.
So that's actually leading to my next question is, why do you think, and I'm not asking you to play judge, so you don't have to if you don't want to, but why do you think Tonio beat you, and why do you think you beat John? Like, if you had to pick something, we'll start with Tonio. If you had to pick one reason why he beat you, what do you think it would be?
I think he's a little more round and a little bit more dense up top than me. Mm-hmm. Specifically in the mid-back area, which has been a lagging body part of mine that I've been working on for about a year now, really, really like putting in a lot of effort to it. Yeah. And that was one thing I was pretty upset about when I had this low back injury, that I couldn't continue doing like rack pulls, and I couldn't do some of the heavier compounds that I really wanted to do through the prep that could have, really brought up some more thickness in my back. So I think maybe it's just that a little bit more wow factor because of the level of density he's got.
Yeah, of course.
And then I think with John, and John and I really, like, we just met, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. He's a great guy. Yeah. And I think that I have a little bit more thickness in my lower lats, the very, very bottom of the lats. I think I've got a little.
Sorry to interrupt you. While you're talking, I'm just going to show everybody your Instagram so they can see what you're talking about. So before you go on, everybody follow Nathan Epler. It's IFBB _ Nathan _ Epler, EPLER, for those listening in audio. So I'm looking at your photos. This is you were talking about your mid back, and then you said your lats hang a little lower than John's, is what you thought. Do we have a back
like
shot
the
here?
lowest. Yeah, the thickness through the bottom of the lat.
Sure.
I think I'm a little bit denser in the lower lat area, and then my shoulders. I think my shoulders and chest are a little bit fuller and bigger than John. And I think I had. Go ahead.
I think I was going to say, I think I can agree with those statements. I think your conditioning is incredible, by the way. I'm just noticing that now. I haven't gone through all these photos yet. Your conditioning is like, how much cardio were you doing every day?
About 40 to 50 minutes. And actually, so normally I only have to do treadmill. I just do incline walking.
Yeah.
But this prep, Matt, my coach, he had put Stairmaster back in for a few weeks. And it was so funny. We were about 8 weeks out, and he put Stairmaster back in intervals at 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I got shredded in like 2 weeks.
You pull him back out again?
We had to pull back a little bit because I came in way too quick. But yeah, and I think that's, again, my shape. I think maybe I have, John hits an amazing vacuum, but I think that, again, my shape and symmetry maybe kind of outbeat him, especially because the condition was pretty similar for both of us.
Yeah, you have a great physique. I mean, very round muscle bellies. And that the X frame is very, very good. So if you had to, you're going on to New York this coming week, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Before we go on to New York, I see you have a wifey. Is this your actual wifey, or is this just a shirt that says?
It's my wife.
How long have you been married for?
We've been married for 3 years, and we've been together for 11.
How much does she compete as well, or no?
She does. Yep.
And how much does she?
Yeah.
Is she competing at the same time as you, or does she wait till you're done, kind of take her turn?
So she just recently, her name is Alexa, and we've been together since high school. So we've been together for a really long time. And she's seen me when I was a baby, when I was the smallest, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's my biggest supporter, but she just got into bodybuilding a couple years ago. She did her first shows in 2019, the year that I turned pro. She did her first couple, and she does figure, and she did pretty well. I think she got 4th at her first show, and then she ended up winning her second one.
Yeah.
And so now she actually is. Yeah, she is in prep right now as well, but we make sure that our shows don't line up exactly.
Yeah. But how hard is, do you have any kids or no?
No kids yet.
No kids. What's the household like when you're both dieting? Is it turmoil, or is it like you guys learn to kind of work with each other through the diet?
No, it's awesome. It really works well for us because we don't get cheat meals.
That's right. So you're suffering. You're suffering together. That's right. Yeah.
Right. We suffer together because if I'm in prep and she's not, then she gets cheat meals, and then I'm pissed off, or vice versa.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It works really well, man. Like we work really well together. We're a really good team, and we're eating the same. We have the same coach, so we eat very similar diet foods. Yeah. We train, so we both do not work corporate jobs or anything. Yeah. So, we pretty much just live bodybuilding, and I coach, and she actually just quit her job and she started a photography business as well. So, we just get to do our own thing. We support each other and compete, and it's just really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, man, that sounds really, really cool. Let me ask, okay, I know this is going to be an obvious answer, but maybe if you can elaborate a little bit on it. Could you do this without her? Like, does she do all the cooking? Do you guys share the cooking? Like, how much of a support system is she? Obviously, she's probably your biggest fan, but other than that, how big of a help is she to you?
So, and this is funny because you like to cook as well, right? Do you cook?
I don't trust anybody to cook for me. That's the problem. I take matters into my own hands.
Yeah. Well, I used to work in the restaurant industry, so and I wasn't a cook or anything, but I've been around food a lot. So I actually do a lot of the cooking. Yeah. But over the last year, especially turning pro and then the level that I'm at now and how hard we had to push, she makes it very easy to lean on, where if we need chicken cooked or we need fish cooked or rice or whatever it is, if I'm exhausted and I'm, trained clients during the day, writing programs, trained myself, and then I get home and I'm like wiped, she helps kind of carry that slack and really helps with that. She takes care of our dogs. She helps clean up around here. So she makes it a lot easier. And then especially like during peak week, because like right now I'm really, really low carb.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of Indy, we're trying to negate any water rebounding. And so I am getting a little bit tired, and it's just very nice to have her as my, she's my partner. She's right there with me, and she's, she runs into the grocery store if I need to, or what have you. So
awesome.
She's really helpful for sure.
You're coming into New York. Does she fly with you to all the shows? Is she going to be in New York with you?
Yep.
So do you need her there? Let me ask, like, when you're at the shows, do you feel like you need her there kind of as your like main support system to kind of, I don't know how to explain it to people that don't compete, but does it keep you kind of at ease and she takes care of everything you don't need to, and having her there in New York with you, does it kind of make it all just a smoother transition?
Yeah, and like for instance, like at Indy, if I forgot something in the hotel room, or if I needed something, or if I'm like, hey, can you pack my meal up for me? Yeah. I mean, yeah, she makes it so much easier. And I even, it sounds silly, but even like when I got done competing, I walked up and like just given like the first person I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see my wife.
Yeah.
And I want to give her like, and I was missing her. And you probably, you get how that is. It's like,
yeah, 100%.
You get off stage and you're just like, I just want to see that one person that's been with me through the whole ride.
Yep.
And give her a hug. And yeah, it's going into New York, having her be able to fly out with me, because she used to work a corporate job and we would have to request time off for her. And it was extremely difficult. And like, we were just talking about this today, like how much nicer it is that we can just travel together and she can support me. And my family's going as well, my parents and my brother. So they're actually already in Florida right now.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So leading into New York, actually, before I have one question. When you got off stage and you had second place, and I know you said you expected to be in the first call out, is it bittersweet, or is it like my pro debut was awesome because I got second, or is it like, shit, I expected to win, or I wanted to win, and it's not as awesome as I thought it was? Like when you go and you give her that hug and she's the first person you see, are you both like elated that you were second, or are you kind of like, I was almost there? Like, what's the feeling?
She was elated.
Okay.
It was a hard pill for me. It was a really hard pill for me. And again, I want to say congratulations to Tonio. We were chumming it up on stage. Like we were goofing off, and like, he's a really good buddy. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of fun, but, after the morning and how they kind of ran us through the morning, I did think that I had the win. Okay. And especially in my hometown. Yeah. I think that was where it hurt more. Yeah. The whole crowd, there was so many people there, like my clients, my family, my friends. The place was packed. Mm-hmm. And it was a hard pill to swallow. It really was. And but then it only took me a couple minutes, and I just was, it was bittersweet. It was a hard pill to swallow. I stayed backstage for a few minutes to kind of gain my composure. And then after a couple minutes, after I hugged my wife and hugged my mom, then and then everyone was like, it's your pro debut. You literally got second at a stacked show. Yeah. And I had to remind myself, like, all right, this is a stepping stone. And now we know where to go. And the Olympia for me is in sight. And so now it's like, all right, I'm thankful, and let's regain focus and look at our next task, which is New York.
Is it safe to say you have, is that the first show you've lost?
Yes, since my first show.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so is it safe to say you have very high expectations for yourself? Because most guys coming into their pro debut, and it wasn't an easy show. John Jewett was at the Olympia last year. I forget what he took, but like you said, Noel won that show a couple of years ago. So it's not like you just beat nobody, and you still had a moment, right? So
Yeah.
When you got your pro card, who was the overall winner at that show?
Zach Merkel.
Okay. So you and Tonio had competed in the same show, but you had never actually beaten him. So this was the first time you actually competed against each other.
Yeah, and because in the overall, I mean, the Jim Mannion told me that it was between Zach and I, and that it was really close.
Okay.
But again, they don't really do they just do the overall win. So and then Tonio back then was, he was a lot lighter than me. He was probably almost 15 pounds lighter than me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we really could stack up. We couldn't really equate to each other yet.
Yeah. So moving into New York now, what's the plan? How do you get better? How do you move from second to first? And is there better competition that you expect to be there?
It's the lineup just came out today. It's everyone from Indy. Is
there anybody added to it, or is it the same guys?
I think there's one guy added to it. I haven't heard of him before. Okay. I'm not I can't even remember his name for the life of me. But yeah, there's 10 of us so far. And again,
is Tonio going also?
No.
Oh, okay. So you don't get a rematch, but you get a chance to. Do you get a chance to walk away with a win now?
Well, I still got to beat Jewett.
I know. I'm just saying. If the math, are you getting a call?
Yeah. Hold on just a sec.
It's okay.
Oh, there we go. You got me. There we go.
So basically, what I was saying is, if the math holds up, you're next in line for that win, right? So obviously, John's going to try and make some changes, but so are you. So that was the question I had next: is what changes are you guys trying to make this week to be better than last week?
I think we can get a touch tighter, maybe a little bit drier, just a little bit more crisp, more of a polished look. But again, I mean, we really hit the nail pretty on the head at Indy. So, I mean, there won't be a whole lot of change. Obviously, my body's going to respond differently this week than it did last week. You know how it is, bodybuilding, it's every show, especially going back to back. There are going to be some, and I'm flying and stuff. So there's going to be some little things that we have to kind of tailor my program towards. But I am going lower carb right now because I carved up from Wednesday to Saturday. And we pulled water extremely hard, and it allowed me to make the weight but continue my carb up. So I think the carb up is going to be less. I still obviously have glycogen pretty full from this last weekend. Yeah. So we're going lower carb right now and really pushing water right now. And hopefully, the weight comes down just like it did for Indy, and then we can again just kind of feed into the show and just get on stage and rock it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just the same. It's just executing at a high level. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. It's not rocket science. We just got to go out and do what we just did.
I used to get better from show to show because I felt like, for me, it was always hard to carb load the first time. So I would do a show, then have a cheat meal after the show. And then I would have a week to get ready for the next show. And I would do the same thing you're doing. I would drop carbs and but the thing is, the next carb load always seemed so much easier because my body was kind of half loaded from the week before. So I was always able to nail my conditioning better the second time than the first. So, I mean, maybe that'll come true for you as well. You'll get that little bit of crispness that you're looking for.
And I think you're right on that. I mean, because that first one, it's like you may be so depleted from getting the condition down that it's almost like when you start reintroducing carbs, you start ripping through them too fast. Your body's just hyper responding to added food. And it takes a little bit longer for that to really soak in. So, and we were full. I mean, we were full blown, but I think, the carb load should be a little bit simpler this time, and then it should even help my waist be even tighter. That's a strong suit for me. So I think all the cards are kind of falling in the right direction now. It's just about I'm just in machine mode right now. You know how that is.
Yeah. So a couple questions and I'll let you go because I know I didn't want to keep you long because you're in super diet mode. But when you say we were cutting water and we cut really hard, what does that mean for last week? And is it going to be the same this week? Like, did you cut for, did you start cutting your water Thursday, like Wednesday, Friday? When did you guys start cutting water?
I'm trying to think. This is where my prep brain, I'm like, what day?
I can't remember. Well, no, because I remember like we used to, like, one of my coaches, one of my most successful preps, I started to bring my water down on Wednesday. But then I've had other really successful preps where I kept my water really, really high until Friday. So
yeah,
you guys started bringing it down on Wednesday?
I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it was Wednesday that we had cut the water in half.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's what it was. We had cut the water from like 1.5 gallons down to like 3 liters. So like 6 liters down to 3 liters. I did like 8 liters early in the week. And then we did 6 liters, and then we had cut it to 3 liters by Wednesday. And then Thursday, it was just at each meal, I had like 6 to 8 ounces of water.
Wow. So you really cut hard. You cut water hard, eh? I'm surprised you're able to look so full, though. You looked really good on stage.
No, Matt, even my coach and I, we were, a little bit dumbfounded, like, because we were even pulling sodium hard. And that's like,
oh my God. So nothing should have worked. And it still worked.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were like, but we also, I was still several pounds over the weight class, and my weight wasn't really dropping. Yeah. And that's what it was like, all right, we got to turn it on. Like, let's pull some salt out. Let's start pulling water. And I was a little nervous, but again, I get into that machine mode, that rhythm where I'm like, okay, listen to coach, don't think. Don't look at social media. Yeah. Go do what you got to do. And Matt even said, well, it's kind of weird. You keep looking better with what we're doing.
With no salt and no water. What the fuck? You know what, though? It's the one thing, though, I did not consider is I forgot you have a weight limit to, like, a weight cap that you have to be under. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you would have to start cutting sodium, start cutting things out to try and get that. So where were you? Where did you actually weigh in at? 211? So you made no problem. Well, not no problem, but you ended up making it. Obviously.
Yeah, I ended up floating 5 pounds the night before, and I ended up waking up on Friday at 209.
Oh, okay.
And I had not dipped below like 211 or 212 the whole entire prep.
Yeah.
And the last day I dipped down to 209, and then we were able to eat 3 meals on Friday before the weigh-in. And I just the food didn't have to change at all. So that was really nice that we could just keep feeding.
Yeah, that's great. Well, man, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer because I feel bad. I mean, I already kept you over the time, and I know how it is the last week. So maybe you can come on again when you're full of food.
Yeah.
One last question before you go. Did you have a cheat meal after the show on Saturday?
Yes.
What did you have?
Oh, yeah.
Curious.
Sushi.
That's not a cheat meal, man. Come on.
Well, so it's pretty funny. So I'm actually, I have a sushi sponsor. I have a restaurant that sponsors me.
Holy shit. That's what I got to fucking get. What the fuck is this? All right.
Right, bro.
You got a sushi sponsor. That's so insane.
Yeah. And I have a roll on the menu that's named after me, and like they've taken really good care of me. And plus, like, it's in my hometown, which is like 15 minutes south of the city.
Yeah.
So we already knew that a lot of the restaurants were going to be so packed, and it was kind of getting late. Yeah. And we actually asked if they would stay open a little late for us, and they did. And so we just took a small group of us, and we went and just had a couple appetizers. And I think I ate like 4 sushi rolls, and then I was pretty much capped out. I think I had like half of a big cookie, and then I was like, all right, plus being dehydrated, I was like, I'm ready to sleep right now.
I was just going to say, you hadn't had water in like 3 days, so you probably wanted to drink more than eat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shit. You got a sushi sponsor. Now, see, I'm stuck on that now. Now I got to figure out how to make that happen. I'm sorry, man. You cut out again. Okay. Listen, we'll wrap it there. I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate the time. I wish you luck in New York, and I don't know. I hope to see you get on stage and look awesome again and get that win.
No, man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been watching the podcast for a long time, really since since you guys had started it, and I've been following you for a few years, so I really appreciate you having me on. And I look forward to coming back on, hopefully with an Olympia qualification.
Yeah, man. Anytime, for sure. Thank you very much, man.
All right. Thanks, Fouad.
All right, brother. Have a good week. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and like the video. And if you get a chance, check out the description for all the different links to all the different places you can find Hostile and myself. And lastly, check out hostile.com for our new line of supplements and all of our apparel and gear. Thanks again for watching.